Now, Nehemiah was a cupbearer. A cupbearer for King Artaxerxes. Now, that was more than a glorified butler. I mean, being a cupbearer was a position of honor. It was a position of prestige. And so, anyway, Nehemiah basically served King Artaxerxes. He had an audience with the king personally, face to face. Well, one day, Nehemiah was serving the king. And he was moping around, and he was depressed. His head was hung low, to the point where the king knew something was wrong. Nehemiah goes on to say, "The king said to me, 'What is it that you want?' Nehemiah said, 'Then I prayed to the God of heaven, and I answered the king. If it pleases the king, if it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in his sight, let him send me to the city in Judah where my ancestors are buried, so that I can rebuild it.'" I mean, that's gutsy, isn't it? I mean, he's asking for some PTO. I mean, he wants some paid time off, and not only does he want a short period of time off, I mean, he wants an extended period. In other words, he was saying, "Can I just leave your service? I mean, I need to go back and help rebuild the capital city of Israel. I need to go back to from whence my ancestors came and help them out." And what's amazing is King Artaxerxes I gave him permission. And not only did he release him from service, he made him the governor of the region. King Artaxerxes gave him supplies and even gave him men and safe passage so that Nehemiah could travel all the way to Jerusalem and help rebuild it. So Nehemiah travels, he gets to Jerusalem, he walks around the perimeter of the city, and it was extremely not good at all. The walls were broken down, the gates were burned, the vegetation was growing in places it shouldn't have been. The people had no safety, they were living in disgrace and in fear. Well, Nehemiah was this phenomenal leader, and Nehemiah was extremely committed. And now, as governor of Judah, he calls together all the residents, all the families who were living in Jerusalem, and he assigned each family a specific portion of the wall to rebuild, a portion of the wall which was near to their house. I mean, what a brilliant idea. You're in charge of building the wall next to your house. The wall that you build will provide you safety. The wall that you build will provide you the security and that which you need. And so they begin this great work of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. Well, a walled city was a threat to the surrounding nations. To those people that were taking advantage of the people who lived in Jerusalem, a walled city would stop that. And so the people around, the nations and the groups of people around Jerusalem, they were getting nervous. And so they started to resist. They started to try to intimidate Nehemiah and his workers. They even attacked them physically. Nehemiah had to pull his families off the wall at one point in time, and they had to develop an armed guard system just to fend off the marauders, just to fend off those who were trying to intimidate them and to stop them from building the wall. Nehemiah goes on to say, it was in Nehemiah chapter 6, beginning at verse 1, "When word came to Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem the Arab, and the rest of our enemies, that I had rebuilt the wall, and not a gap was left in it, though up to that time I had not set the doors in the gates." So what's going on is, he's close to being finished. The walls are built. Now, the gates are still open. There's no doors there yet, but they're close to getting finished. Well, his enemies, once again, were worried about this. Okay, they were intimidated by Nehemiah. And so Sanballat and Geshem, sent me this message. "Come, let's go have coffee together. Hey, let's get together for lunch or for breakfast. We'll meet in some place nice, and we're just going to have a talk." Right? And so Sanballat and Geshem sent me this message. "Come, let us meet together in one of the villages on the plain of Ono." But Nehemiah knew what was up. He understood what was happening. They were scheming to harm me. They were going to kill him. And I love Nehemiah's reply. And my friends, this is where it intersects with us. I mean, Nehemiah's reply was genius. It's inspired. Because have you ever been tempted? I mean, have you ever been tempted to focus on the immediate over the ultimate? Have you ever been tempted to focus on the want now over what you value most? Or have you been tempted to focus on the optional over the essential? I mean, for example, maybe you put so much time, energy, and effort into your work, that your family and your kids are struggling and hurting. Or maybe you put so much time, energy, and effort into a time-consuming hobby that your relationships are on the fritz. And so I want to bring you back to true north. I want to get you centered once again. And I love the response of Nehemiah. It goes on to say, so Nehemiah sent this, so I sent messengers to them with this reply, with this message. I am carrying on a great project and cannot go down.